Boom! Hello! This is the first episode to go up on Found Footage. We are discussing slash reviewing As Above So Below. It's a found footage horror movie from 2014. I'm Siobhan and I'm with Casey.
Hi.
There we go! You said hello this time! Excellent! We are working out technical issues, so if there's technical issues, we're just gonna have to suck it up. So we've both seen this movie before we watched it to review it.
Yeah, it was good. We had seen it before, and then I need to watch it again at least because I have the memory of a fish.
That's fair. I just really like it. Yeah, like it's a movie that you enjoy watching. Would you say?
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those kind of ones that I'd put on in the background and forget it's there, but just listen to it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's been a film that I've had on many times. Sitting playing games, sitting doing something else, not really paying attention, but it's one that I enjoy just sort of having on.
Yeah, definitely.
So, the movie starts with our protagonist Scarlett, and she's on a bus crossing the Iranian border to go and look for a hidden secret slash information about whatever it is she's looking for because she hasn't told us yet.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the beginning of the film? Are you like, ooh, it's very intriguing, or are you like, wow, what you doing?
I think, especially what I really liked about it was you really got a sense of idea of her character to begin with. Like, especially when she's just like, yeah, well, I'm gonna do this thing, even though I know
Yeah.
that the punishment if I'm caught is buried in having a rock wall dropped on my head. But
Yeah, because she's very much like, I'm going here to do this in the Habala region, to go into these caves. And then she's like, I know that if there's any consequences, it's my own fault. Like, I know that I could be killed for trespassing here.
and then she's like, but they gotta catch me first.
Yeah, she's very much like, you can't punish me if you can't catch me. Um, which is good. It's good to have a protagonist who's not like, well, I suppose I'll do this. Like, it's, I suppose. She's like, nah, fuck this. I'm doing this unapologetically, going after what it is I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So she meets up with a man called Raza, who I'm imagining is her connection here in Iran. They seem quite friendly, so he seems like a decent dude. Not that we get much of him, but it's just nice to know that he seems like a decent dude and he's not like a scumbag.
Yeah, I really liked especially that they kind of had this more than just like friendly, they kind of almost seemed like they were family.
Yeah, like he seems very like fatherly towards her,
Yeah.
because he'd known her father as well.
Hmm.
Because he says like, oh, like knew your father or something along those lines. Um, so he takes her through like a secret entrance, and they enter the caves. But it is mere minutes before it's about to be demolished, which I would think would be a totally nerve wracking situation to be in.
I know, especially because you need to imagine that they're probably really far in these tunnels.
Yeah, like
So,
you can hear guards like chattering, you can hear orders being shouted, and you can hear alarms going off because like this place is gonna explode.
uh-huh.
Like it's gonna be fully rubble in a mere matter of moments.
Side note that I really liked in this scene was just how red the tunnels were, and I felt like it was such a
Yeah.
like a reference to the screen title.
Yes. I also like really like the cover art and poster art for like the movie and like the DVD and stuff is the Eiffel Tower and like the catacombs that are in black on a red background, so it really makes you think, oh, this is 100% this movie's like aesthetic.
Yeah,
Um
it
yeah.
resonates with the film title as well, which
Yeah.
I'm a big fan when everything feels really cohesive.
Yeah, it's like the art department and the design department and like the photography department and cinematography and everything sort of came together and it all looks very cohesive, which is really nice.
Yeah, it
Sometimes
does.
things like that can look really disjointed.
Uh-huh. No, I agree.
Yeah. And so she is looking for clues to something, air quotes, and she finds the rose key. and she nearly gets blown up in her pursuit of it. Raza is begging her to leave because he's got a family, and he's like, look, I'm going to have to go. And she's like, don't worry, I got this, I won't be long, like, go, you need to live, you've got a family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she she takes her camera and she scans all over this thing. It's like a statue of a bull, I would say.
Yeah. The whole...
Yeah. And so she's gotten her capture of the images of all of the text, and she starts to make her way out. But on the way out, she sees a vision of a hanging man, but it's only for like a flash of a second. Later on, we far later on, we discover that the image of the hanging man is her father. So it's already started from the very beginning of the movie, and she's not even entered the catacombs yet. So we know where this is heading.
I think it's poignant to point out that the idea that if she's already starting to see images of her father is that it is something that constantly haunts her before she enters. Like, it's not something...
Yeah, it's not something that just bursts to the surface because they're in the situation they're in. It's something that haunts her already, just in general as a person.
That's kind of how I took it, rather than it just kind of already start when she's all the way in Iran, and then the country changes, and then they're in France. I like the idea that this is something personal that haunts her.
I get you. She makes it out, obviously, alive and well, because otherwise she wouldn't be the protagonist of the film if she died within the first, the first 5 minutes of the movie, I would say, is spent in Iran. And then we are in Paris, France. So we get, the titles As Above, So Below, with a little bit of music. It's very nice. And then we are cut to the voice of Benji the cameraman interviewing the OP protagonist Scarlet, because he's making a documentary about her search for the Philosopher's Stone.
Try not to Harry Potter.
I was going to say, I actually put in brackets #Harry Potter. #Dumbledore would be proud. Yeet.
Funnily enough, I had never thought of that until you had mentioned it the other day, and I was like, oh.
Yep. So we were trying to think of what movie to do first, and I was like, cool, well, we'll do a one-off movie instead of jumping straight into a series. And then, so it was like, oh, we'll watch As Above, So Below. I really like this movie. It's my favorite found footage horror movie. The name of the channel is Found Footage, you know. And I know that you'd seen it before. I was pretty sure. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was pretty fucking sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, can you guess what the movie is? It's Harry Potter, but it's set in France.
You're trying to rack my brain for a movie that's set in France and has Harry Potter vibes.
It's just in my head it makes sense, because it's just sort of a joke that I've always had about the movie. It's it's Harry Potter. Ooh. But yeah. So we find out that, like I said, Scarlet is OP as fuck. She has 3 PhDs in urban archaeology, symbology, and a master's in chemistry. She speaks 4 languages and 2 dead ones, and has a black belt in Krav Maga. So
some of these are made up. But
you're I don't think that she can have a PhD in symbology.
That's not a real thing.
I think it probably is, but
No, I know for a fact it is.
No, but I was going to be judging by the young age, she cannot be more than 27, 28, something like that. She can't be much older than that if she is. How has she got 3 PhDs? Bitch is smart.
Yeah, she's obviously started super young.
Yeah, she does mention that her father was very academic. She was very encouraged to be. It was an academic household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me Indiana Jones vibes. If you were if you were there during his son's teenage years, you
would understand why brain's so full, sort of thing. Yeah. It's just a shame that her dad isn't played by Sean Connery.
Oh,
that would be really amazing. It would be
They really did.
amazing. Who does play her dad? That's not really like, specifically important. Roger Van Hool plays Scarlett's father. I'll also point out that Scarlett is played by Perdita Weeks. I'm not 100% sure what else she was in. She was in Spice World the movie and Ready Player One. Who the fuck was she in Spice World the fucking movie?
I was trying to think. I really don't remember her in that. Evie, it says.
Evie?
Yeah.
I don't really remember. So she can't have been a massively important character, even though I love Spice World the movie. But that is for a different episode, and probably not on a horror channel.
No, honestly, that is
You're like-
the scariest movie. Because
Yeah.
don't fight me, but is that not the one where the aliens pop out?
There is aliens, and also I'm pretty sure a stalker photographer guy climbs out of a toilet.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Nightmare.
It is nightmare fuel. But back to hashtag Harry Potter in France.
Yeah.
Her father dedicated his life to finding the Philosopher's Stone, and everybody considered him to be crazy, especially after that they sort of like find out that he'd killed himself. So Benji is sort of like, hey, you know, blah, and she's like, oh, is it because he killed himself? And we're like, the hanging man.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we go on from their little interview and they break into a church. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it tells you which church it is.
I never caught a name for it, but
Yeah.
it seemed like it was maybe more of an old and important
Yeah,
one.
so it's like definitely an old church, definitely important, because it says church. But like, I don't want to say, like, obviously it's not a cathedral, so I'd say I don't want to say it's Notre Dame, because it probably isn't. It's not Notre Dame. That's just me thinking, oh, I know buildings in France.
Well, I do know these two. There's the Eiffel Tower,
Yeah,
you
there's
know, Notre Dame. What
yeah,
else is there?
the Arc de Triomphe. That's not really a building, but
You know,
it's
there's catacombs.
yeah, yeah, of course there's catacombs. And I believe that there's catacombs in France.
Just trying to hit you up with all of my esteemed knowledge.
All of your worldly knowledge. Yeah, so they break into this church because the language that all of the images that she took in are in some form of Aramaic, which is like the one language she doesn't speak. Funnily enough, it's like the one language she doesn't speak, so we need to go and find ourselves another character. A second in command. A not quite the protagonist, but not just a side piece. So we go to look for her buddy George.
Ah, George.
I think George is my favourite character.
I quite like George. I think it was definitely tied between George and Zed, I think.
Yeah, we meet Zed slightly later on, and we meet like is their other friend Suxi and Papillon. I like Papillon.
Oh, Papillon was good as well.
I don't know why I'm putting such a French twist on the name. I'm probably still butchering it. But yeah. So George doesn't seem super happy to see Scarlett, because the last time they hung out and were together, he wound up in a Turkish prison. Which,
To which he corrects him and says that it was more of a jail rather than a prison.
yeah, like, let's split hairs, alright? It wasn't a prison, you were in a jail, blah-de-blah. Come on, bro. Translate for me.
Yes,
You feel like,
exactly.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's a little bit of tension between the two characters, so you feel like maybe something else was going on as well, and that, like, he's just more than a little pissed to have been thrown to the side and left in a Turkish jail.
I mean, in all honesty, I would be as well.
I wouldn't fancy being in a Turkish jail. But to be fair, like, being gay in that situation probably wouldn't help either, so I'm probably best to stay out of Turkish jails. And then he's fixing a bell in the church, because he likes to break into old places and fix things. So, while they're speaking, cogs start turning, and then he's like, oh, shit, son, the good stuff's happening. So I have just written down in my notes the words Big Bell Hype.
Big Bell hype.
Big Bell Hype.
I actually want to point out that I thought that was kind of clever on, you know, the filmmaker's part,
Yeah.
having the the clocks and the bell all start to work when he's starting to change his mind and actually kind of go towards her plan and like be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can translate.
Yeah. It's almost like the catacombs is beginning to pull them all in, like, sort of separately, and yeah, they're just like, we've made your bell work, come on. So he agrees. So he agrees to translate. So they head to a museum. I didn't catch which museum it was, did you?
No, I didn't.
So they go to a museum, and there is what is supposedly Nicholas Flamel's tombstone. I believe that that's what it is. It's a
Yeah, I'm sure
tombstone. Yeah. So he's translating some symbols. They're doing some back and forth riddle deciphering, and she's like, "Well, the key is on his back. The key's on his back." Oh, and then she starts to lift the tombstone off the wall, and George looks like he's about ready to just like be like, "Nah, fuck this, I'm going home."
Got Benji on the camera, who's like, you should not do this. This is a bad thing.
Yeah, you've got like just wee Benji in the back, like, guys, maybe don't do that.
This is a little illegal in some parts.
Yeah, like you don't see a lot of Benji, but hearing him from behind the camera is like probably better than ever seeing his face could be, because you can just imagine this guy behind them being like, guys,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm also here and I believe that we should stop. um, so she mixes some cleaning fluid together, rubs it on the back, gets some matches from Benji, and sets it on fire to reveal the next clue. And I have the note that says, some Nicolas Cage shit, because this is 100% what would happen in the National Treasure movies. I think it is what happened.
He took the Declaration of Independence
Yeah.
from the museum and then did the invisible ink trick on the back of it.
Mm-hmm. So, essentially, this movie is a cross between Harry Potter and National Treasure.
Yeah.
With more jump scares. Not that there's that many jump scares, but there's more than there is in National Treasure. Benji and Scarlet then go on a little scouting mission on like a tourist tour through the catacombs to have a little look-see, because George, as he says, is like, you'll have to do that. I don't go underground. So that's already being like, ooh, George doesn't go underground. He's the second highest billed character on the roster for the film. He's gonna have to go fucking underground. Like, whether he wants to or not, he is going into those catacombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely beyond his choice.
Yeah, he doesn't get a choice. You know what I mean? You're billed second on the film, you're going in the fucking catacombs, son. Yeah, so they see a young man sat in the catacombs apart from the tour group, and he tells them to find a guy called Papillon. He'll take them there.
I think it's also important to note that the reason he jumps into their conversation is because they were lagged like behind the group.
Yeah.
And just talking about how they had to just drive straight through this limestone wall.
Yeah, they're
to
like,
get to the secret tunnels.
Yeah, they're like, it's this way. This is where we need to go.
Yeah.
So he's like, find Papillon at whatever club he's on about. It's a French club where they dance to French music. And so Scarlett's like, oh, thank you. She looks away. Benji looks away. Benji looks back. The man is gone. So that is the catacombs starting their shit because they want Pap down there. I will call him Pap from now on. For it is much easier to say. One syllable.
Pap.
Yeah. So they go to the club. They find Pap and Suxi, which is one of his crew. We don't find out her name until like another 5 minutes later, but that's who it is. And she's like, hey, take me to the catacombs. He's like, I'm not a tour guide. She's like, well, I'm not a fucking tourist.
And then they go for a map for a bit as well.
Yeah, so they look over a map for a little bit, and she's like, hey, well, you know, there's treasure. And he's like, awesome, I'll take you if me and my friends get half the treasure. She's like, take all the treasure. I don't want the treasure. George, however, doesn't want to give up all the treasure because he's a smart boy. He's like, no, half is fine.
You take half. I'm not just in it for a stone.
Yeah. He's like, listen, if all else fails, we might have some treasure. Probably also thinking of himself and Benji in that equation, like, shit, son, we know you just want the stone, Scarlet, but perhaps Benji and I would like to be able to eat. So, So we cut from there to the back of Hap's van with like all the equipment and stuff for going down. We meet his friends Zed and Suxi. Zed, he describes as their climber, and Suxi is a banshee, apparently. I don't know how she has come to be the banshee, but she is, according to Paps, so we will just believe him. I do.
That's what-
Yeah. As I say, this isn't like important to the plot or anything, but I also have the notes that Zed does a cracking Robert De Niro impression.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then they have a little sick beatboxing session where Pap's beatboxing is like, yeah, you rap, and then Zed's like, and then he's like, nah, you shit. He's like, nah, you shit, son.
Which I felt like this was one of the more natural, like, ways of adding in their kind of dynamic.
Yeah, it was quite a natural way to be like, these guys are like, well, we're away to dick about in the catacombs. We do this all the time. We might get some treasure. Fuck it, let's just have a good time. Here, you gotta see my De Niro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially like in a lot of other found footage films that you see. A lot of the times you have the little dynamic building at the start of the movie,
Yeah. So,
and
like,
it's
yeah.
done in like a montage.
Yeah, no, normally it is. It's kind of like, oh, we're team building. We're in a van. We're driving to this location. Oh, we stopped for hot dogs.
Yeah,
Whereas
whereas this one was a lot more like, oh, because we're all kind of going in time, it was there and it felt really natural and you didn't really question why it was there.
yeah, because, like, at the same time, like, Benji's just asking, like, Zed and Suxi a couple of just, like, questions. He asks about a burn scar on the back of Pap's hand, and Zed's like, yeah, don't talk to him about that. So it's clearly not something that he wants to speak about, but then again, you probably don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're of your own right, and he asks Suxi what kind of dangers are down there, and she says, well, drown. If you run out of batteries for your light, you'll die. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Just lots of like positive feedback.
Just upping the stakes just that little
Yeah.
bit extra.
It's just like, hey Benji, I know you're probably a little bit nervous, but what about this? What if you died? But what about this, what if you died? So they make their way down a train track into an abandoned sort of like little train tunnel, and then there's like a little hole in the ground. That's the entrance that they'll be going to take themselves into the catacombs, because they're not going in the tourist way. They're going in the, we're not supposed to be doing this, but fuck it. Fuck the popo. We
Yeah.
also see Pap tag a wall with the name Pap exclamation point or something, and he puts a little circle around it. And he's like, that's the classic Pap. It will come back slightly later for like a second beat. So they're all getting ready to go down. George is like, nah, I'm not fucking going. Nah, I'm not going, guys. I'm not going underground. I don't do underground. No, I'm not going. Pap's like, dude, make up your mind. Are you coming? And he's like, no, I'm not going. Even though he's walked them to the entrance. And then the cops show up.
And then George has to go in anyways.
Yeah. So he gets no option. He's down there. He has no choice. He is now part of the crew. But lovely little Benji just so happens to have a spare lamp. A spare headlamp. And he's also installed like little pin cams on all of the bands next to the headlamps so that we can get multiple perspectives throughout the rest of the movie, which is a really smart way to be getting a lot more dynamic shots, especially for like a found footage film.
Yeah, especially because like I keep like when I think about found footage films, I always kind of go back to the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
I don't know if like that's just me or if you're doing the same, but
Well, it's
yeah,
one of those ones where it was like a massive found footage movie. Like you can't really speak about the genre without being like the Blair Witch Project. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I
But-
mean, it was definitely one of like the first ones to really make a breakthrough, which
Yeah.
I like to think at least it started the genre.
Well, what started the genre was, I can't remember what year it's from, but it's from ages and ages ago. It was Cannibal Holocaust. And people, yeah, and people thought that it was fucking real, and it was banned everywhere. We will probably 100% go and do, like, an actual, like, episode where we, like, discuss found footage movies just as a genre or something. Because that would be interesting. But I've not seen Cannibal Holocaust, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure I would know if I'd seen it. I've seen a couple of cannibal found footage movies, but I'm pretty sure I've not seen that one.
I've heard of it and I've watched videos on it, and it's
Yeah, like it's brutal.
it's brutal. Like I don't know if you know, but like apparently they went to go and arrest the director of it.
They
because-
did. Yeah, they were going to arrest him because they thought they were watching a snuff movie.
Uh-huh.
Because they thought it was real, and it wasn't. It was just found footage because like nobody had really done that sort of like style before, so everybody thought it was like a documentary. But also, because it was from ages ago, I think the 70s. I wouldn't quote me on it. Actually, I'll Google it. Fuck it.
We like to be accurate here.
Yeah, 1980.
19. So you were like right in the middle.
Yeah, it's from 1980, but there wasn't as many like restrictions on what you could and like do, sort of thing. So there is animal deaths in the movie that were real animals being killed, I'm pretty sure. Again, I wouldn't 100% quote me on it, but we've gone off on a tangent, which we are prone to
We
do.
did.
So you were saying that like because we're getting more dynamic shots now
Yeah.
as part of the film. Yeah.
Because I remember Blair Witch Project was just the one camera, and it felt like sometimes you'd question why, and not even just for the Blair Witch Project, but it's like for a lot of other found footage films, everyone's like, why are they still carrying the camera? Like, wouldn't you stop doing that?
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like this one was like, well, no, here's a reason it's here. It's because there's a light there, and
Yeah.
you've got your camera. So they're not just going to dump it on the floor.
Yeah. So all of their cameras are pinned to their headbands with the headlamps, and they need those to see. And they're not just going to be like, oh, just let me turn off this camera. They're going to be like, no, let's just keep fucking moving. Which is incredibly smart.
Yeah. I liked it. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, I like it when they make it make sense, sort of thing. So there is a cult down there, and there is cult singing, and there is a woman in white who we previously seen at the club leaving the club.
Yeah, she had walked past the window, and Benji caught her on the camera.
Yeah, so it appears to be the same woman in white there, along with a bunch of other people dressed in white. So you're pretty sure that she's going to come back at some point, because why would they show her twice if she wasn't at least somewhat important? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they are in the catacombs now. Scarlet wants to take a direct tunnel because she's got a map, and she's like, this way is the way that we need to go. And Pap says that that is a bad way, and that they don't want to go this way. His friend La Taupe, which is the mole in French, he used to live down in the catacombs, and he was like, nah, nobody goes down that way. And then one day he was like, I have to go down there. So he went down there and he never came back. So Pap's like, no, that's a bad way, we're not going that way.
Yeah, he even goes as far to call it the evil tunnel.
Yeah, because she's like, but like, I've got a map. And he's like, listen, the map doesn't know the catacombs. It doesn't know which ones are filled with water, it doesn't know which ones have collapsed, and it doesn't know which ones are evil.
Yeah.
So we're like, shit, son, we're not going that way. He takes them through a route that is coated in bones. Human bones. I'm assuming probably like small creature bones as well. But they've got to crawl over these bones. Benji isn't particularly happy about it, but then again, you're not going to be super ecstatic if you're crawling over corpses, and bones are essentially corpses, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be like the highlight of my day.
To be fair, I think crawling over bones wouldn't be so bad. Like, from my personal perspective, I'm just like, cool, it's bones, just pretend it's like not real bones or whatever.
Yeah.
If it was like crawl over semi-rotted corpses, I wouldn't be okay with that, because like flesh would feel different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would kind of be a bit more of a damper.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also they had to throw in the little side bit. Be careful, don't get bit by rats.
Yeah, and he's like, there's fucking bones and fucking rats. I don't know if he swears at that bit, but I, in my brain, imagine that he's just like, fucking rats.
Yeah, no, I'm sure
Like
he
John
did.
Travolta. Rats! Sandy! But yeah, so they're all going through. Benji is the last to be going through, and he gets a little bit stuck. So he gets a little bit panicky. And then the cult starts to sing really loud.
Yeah. There's like this full bit of like claustrophobic tension, and it's horrible, and one of the worst ones that I've ever sat through.
Yeah, there's this and the scene where Sarah gets stuck in the descent. Those are the two most claustrophobic things I've seen on film, I think.
Yeah.
The Descent is a cracking movie. You should totally watch it if you've never seen it before.
I've seen it before. I really, really like that one.
I was talking to the audience, but it's good to know that you also have good taste. So I just have the note, collapsing, motherfucker, because obviously the fucking tunnel starts to collapse. Why would it not? He does end up getting out. He's shaken up, but, you know, he's safe. But when he gets out, they're back where they started. He's like, we've gone round in a fucking circle. He is not happy. He fucking grabs Pap. He's like, nah, man. But Pap apologizes, and he insists that that is a straight path. There is no turns in that path that they took. It was a fucking straight path. But yet, they are back where they began. So, Scarlet is like, there's no other way. They take the cursed hallway, which we knew that they would. Like, you know that they're going down there.
Exactly. I mean, how could you not? It's kind of like, it reminds me of the scene, not horror, but it reminds me of High School or on Host Club.
Oh.
With
Which one?
the vase.
The vase, yes. When Haruhi breaks the vase.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, how could you not?
It's there.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to bump into it.
Yeah. Like, obviously you're gonna break it, and then you're gonna be indebted to pretend to be a boy for a while.
Yeah.
It's
and then
fine.
Have, like, romantic
Yeah.
tension with the main guy.
Yeah,
obviously.
but she has, like, romantic tension with, like, 3 of them at different points, you know what I mean? But I think they all... We're going off topic again. We're on High School Host Club is a decent anime, I would watch it. It's one of my favourite ones. It's funny.
It's fun.
You're like, I also enjoy it.
Because I'm a big weeb and I can't help it.
I'm a weebie. So, yeah. So they take the cursed tunnel anyway. When they go through, Pap's signature is on the wall. Like, he's spray painted Pap earlier in the film. It's on the wall there, and they're like, are you fucking kidding us? Like, what's this all about? And he's like, I've never been this way. And they're like, but your fucking signature's on the wall, dude. I've never been this way. And he insists that he has not been this way. And then a phone starts to ring, which is ridiculous because they're so far underground, there wouldn't be a damn phone. But they follow the ringing phone because these people don't know that they're in a horror movie.
Obvious.
Yeah, like, they don't know that there's any supernatural bullshit going on. They think that Pap has just been fucking with them. They follow the ringing phone. I was scribbling previous notes, so do they actually get to the phone?
They do.
Yeah.
Scarlet picks it up.
Yeah.
And you've got, you know, this creepy voice that answers, and it's like, he says, why didn't you talk to me? Or why won't you talk to me? And
Yeah.
then there's, like, underlaying several screamy old men voices.
Uh-huh. I see, I have that bit written, after they also find an old piano.
Yeah.
So they find an old piano, and George is like, oh, this is, like, just like the one that we had when we were kids. Me and my brother used to play it. We only knew this one song, but we could never finish it because the A4 key was fucked. And so he plays the little song on the piano, and believe it or not, the A4 key is fucked. So he's like, dude, what's happening here? Like, I'm freaking out, man.
It's game over.
It's game over, man. Game over. But yeah, earlier in the movie, Benji had asked, like, oh, like, you really don't like caves, huh? And Scarlet was like, yeah, when he was younger, George's brother drowned in a cave when they were young. So, you know, that's why he didn't want to go underground, but, you know, fuck you, George. There's plot, so...
And plot becomes personal feeling.
Yeah. So the phone rings again, Scarlet chases it down, she answers the phone, it's the voice again, why won't you talk to me, Scarlet? Why won't you talk to me, Scarlet? And then there's, like, heavy breathing, and then there is Lataupe jump scare. Their friend, Lataupe, who went down this tunnel and was never seen again, is just, like, there.
Which is totally crazy.
It's crazy, he looks crazy, it's crazy. It's crazy scary. And I've just got the note, bad juju.
Bad juju.
Bad juju. And he's like, the only way out is down. He's like, follow me. Where do you want to go? He's like, they're like, he doesn't even know where we're going. He's like, you want to get out. Follow me. But the only way out is down. So it is... I don't know how apparent it is on the first watch through of this movie, because the first time I seen it was in the cinema. In 2014 when it was released. Was it 2014 it was released? Damn.
I know.
Damn. But yeah, so after watching it a couple of times, you begin to realize that they are going through the circles of hell a la Dante's Inferno. because the only way out is down. Like, there's no going back. You can only go forward. So they power sail down a big hole. Pretty much everybody's at the bottom. George is on his way down. They're like, okay, Benji, you come next. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then suddenly he slips down like more than half the rope to like stop next to like just above George, and he has shredded his fucking hands on this rope.
Well, yeah.
Like he's got rope burns. Like his hands are a mess now.
And you've got Scarlet. She bandages it up, but like the blood was still seeping
Through. Yeah. So once they're all like on the ground and they start moving forward, there is a lot of sound distortion and like then a ridiculous array of loud noises. There's like screaming, there is blaring sort of sirens, but it's all muffled because of the distortion of sound.
I really liked that part.
Yeah. I think it sets a precedent for like, oh shit, we're not in Kansas anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like, you know, when you go in the shower and you get water in your ear and it clogs it all up, and it was a really good sound moment.
Yeah, I will say that the sound direction in this movie is really good. Like, I find that with horror, especially as a genre, you need to have good sound design. Like, the sound effects help bring you into the scene, into the moment, and into like the scare.
So it like really adds the tension.
Yeah, it adds the tension. It just adds extra character to the film, I find. But like, it's important in like all movies really, because if you don't have decent sound design, then it kind of feels off. But I think that it's like, I think in horror it's incredibly important. So I have there's an image of a little boy. So there's like just a few seconds, and there's an image like of a little boy standing there. And later on in the movie, like I'm pretty sure that this is an image of Zed's child that he's never seen. Because later on in the movie, they sort of all get they air their dirty laundry later on, like at the second last scene of the movie. But I'm pretty sure that this is who it's supposed to be. You didn't quite catch it this time around, did you?
No, see, well, I mean, I saw the kid,
Yeah.
But I'm almost 100% certain that it was meant for George. But you saying that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth another rewatch and seeing, because obviously Danny, who's George's little brother, he's got his set outfit.
Yeah.
It was like a blue shirt with white stripes, so
yeah, that was the picture of the little boy. It was blue shirt, white stripes, I think. I could be wrong. It could be George's little brother Danny, or it could be what I believe to be Zed's child. But it like switches to like a shot of Zed looking a little bit shook, but that could just be because of all the noise and sound distortion that had been going on. So
I'm way more inclined to believe your idea.
My idea.
Yeah, I think yours works.
Oh.
I think it's more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. It's me, your boy, 3 PhDs. So, Latope is acting weird. Now, we've never known him to not act weird. We've only known him in the crazy murder tunnels, as I will call them for now.
Yeah.
But Pap's like they're like, oh, you sure, like, we can, like, trust him? Like, is he alright? And, like, Pap's like, I don't know. Like, he's acting weird. I'm not sure anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're in, like, a room. And there's no set way out. Which means that it's time for a riddle. And you know who can solve riddles?
Obviously, it's George and Scarlet.
Oh! Yeah! Woo woo! That's right. OP protagonist time. So it's a puzzle called an ancient Egyptian padlock. It's something to do with planets this time, and they are like, cool, well, like 8 planets, and George is like, no, 2 of them won't have been discovered yet, and she's like, cool, so 6, and he's like, wait a second, and then she's like, blah de blah, oh, so the Earth wasn't a planet, they didn't consider it to be a planet, but the Moon and the Sun were 7, so they pull out the 7th rock from the stack of rocks, because if you get this ancient Egyptian padlock wrong, the roof caves in and you all die.
Yeah.
So they wanted to be a little bit more sure. It's a good job George was there to step in and be like, wait, hammer time.
Yes.
So obviously she solves it with a little help from our boy George. Our boy George, am I right? Carmen Chameleon?
Oh, George.
Boy George. So they scoot through to a room with a tomb. So and there is a tomb with a dead guy lying on top of it, and the body's showing no signs of decay, and it's been down there for fucking donkeys. I've never actually googled whether or not I'm correct, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Nicholas Flamel.
Oh, I never thought of that because I wasn't sure whether it was meant to be because he was kind of in like a knight's outfit.
Yeah, that's the bit that makes me think maybe it's not, but I just sort of go to the place where I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be under Nicholas Flamel's tomb. Nicholas Flamel. But it could just be a random guardian of the stone and the treasure, you know what I mean? A la, again, Indiana Jones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Last Crusade. So Scarlet's like, dude, we have to go deeper. And they go through like a little water tunnel to a room filled with treasure. So like there's like bars and there's a heap of treasure over there, and there's like a carving painting thing on the wall. And so Scarlet and George are like geeking out over that, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And then you've got all the rest of them like trying to
Yeah.
grab at the gold and
They're
treasure.
trying to grab at the treasure and stuff, yeah, and then they work out, like, so George and Scarlet work out where on this, like, picture the Philosopher's Stone is, and they find the stone, and she pops the stone out, and they've got the stone. End of movie.
That's it, they won.
Yeah, that's it. If only it was so easy! The others are trying to get to the treasure, and they manage to pull off these bars to get into, like, the treasure room, but Scarlet's like, no, it's a trap! But it's a little bit too late, because there is a collapse, and there's a bunch of rubble. Now, Suxi is trapped under the rubble. As far as we're aware, Latope is also trapped under the rubble, with no signs of getting to him, but they do manage to get Suxi out. Scarlet's like, we need what the fuck is it called?
The packs.
The packs, the thing, a first aid kit.
Yeah.
My brain works. But Pap's like, no, the packs are buried. So Scarlet is like, right. She uses the Philosopher's Stone to heal her wounds, and it fucking works.
I had this written down as Rapunzel, flower gleam and glow.
May your hair shine.
And it was all I could think about.
You were like, mother knows best. Listen to your mother. And it's like, oh, it works, amazing. They can't dig under that rubble for Latope and risk everything else caving in, because there's no signs of him being alive, at least with Suxi. She was making noise. You were like, right, cool, she's alive, excellent.
Yeah.
There is then another picture on the wall, and Scarlet and George are like, because they're nerds. And then they say, as above, so below. The titles play, end of movie. Or so we thought! So I've got the notes that they speak about it a little bit, and they're like, oh, there's no way out, blah blah. And then there's a picture of a door on the ceiling. So she has correctly summarized, oh, as above, so below. If there's a picture of a door on the ceiling, the door is on the floor. It's below. So Pap's like, nah, that's not gonna work. Scarlet gets a rock, she bashes it fucking in. Of course there's a door there. It's under a little bit of water, but there's a door there. Because how could she be wrong, Casey? How could she ever be wrong?
I don't know. Our OP protagonist can't be wrong.
The OGOP.
The OG.
So they go down there, and then there is like a sort of like little tunnel, and above the door, written in French, I can't remember, I didn't get to write down the French because I'm just going to butcher that, but it says, abandon all hope, ye who enter here, which is said to be the inscription that is above the gates of hell. Very Dante's Inferno. just like a lot of the movie from now on is very, like, it sort of is already, but a lot of the movie going forth is very much like you can find similarities between the film and Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
So they go through, they crawl on their bellies through the darkness, which is also supposed to be what they do to go into hell. And they pop up in a mirrored version of the treasure room that they were just in. But the entrance in the mirrored version isn't there. So Pap has an iconic quote here where he's like, "Are we dead?" But yeah, Scarlett's like, no. But there's a mirrored version of like the little water tunnel back to the other room. So they go through that, and I just have the note "freaky water screeching."
That is exactly what I had wrote.
Freaky water screeching?
Yes.
Is that the exact words you wrote?
No, it was like water scrim, but it's more or less.
Water scream?
I have, instead of writing everything as scream, I have put scrim.
You gotta save times. Skip some of the vowels, bruh.
You don't need all the letters.
You don't need letters where you come from. But yeah, so they are in a mirrored version of the tomb room now, and there's heavy breathing, and it's a little bit unsettling. You're like, is it coming from the corpse? Because this corpse is decayed. It isn't pristine like the other one. This is a decayed version of the same corpse. But it isn't the corpse that's breathing, because obviously it's dead. It's La Taupe. And so they try to speak to him. They're like, oh, don't get too close. Suxi gets too close, and he freaks the fuck out and kills her, smashing her face on the floor. That's our first death in this movie. First death. And Pap obviously isn't happy. This is his friend. We don't know if it's something more. He seems very distressed. Zed seems like shocked. Like shocked, freaked more than anything, but Pap is very distressed.
Yeah.
So they're like, right, we need to keep fucking moving. You know what I mean? Like, La Taupe's disappeared. Fun fact, we don't see him for the rest of the movie. You know what I mean? He that's him gone. La Taupe's done now.
He's played his part.
He's played his part. He's away to... I don't know. Is there a mole in any other movies? He's away back to Winnie the Pooh. Oh no, he's a fucking gopher.
He's a gopher.
He's a
No,
fucking...
back to the Incredibles at the end, you know?
Yeah, oh, right, yeah, no, yeah. He's away to become the... What the fuck is the villain called? The Mole Man. I don't think that's what it's called.
I just remember the visualization of it.
Yeah, like, we'll be halfway through, like, the last part of the movie, and I'll be like, this is what he was called! But, so yeah, so they have to keep moving forward. Scarlett sees an image of a noose. It's just there for a flash, and then it's gone. And then they need to go down again, because, as has been stated, the only way out is down. At this point, they know that. They're like, right, we've got to go down to get up. Like, there's no way, you know what I mean? You can't go back the way you came.
Yeah.
So they go down. Benji's the last to go. They're like, oh, Benji, okay? And he's like, yeah, don't worry. And then there is a screaming woman jump scare. She's holding a baby. And I'm pretty sure it's the same woman from earlier in the white.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah. So Benji plummets to his fucking death down this rope, and Scarlett's distraught this time because, like, that's her buddy. That's her cameraman, Benji. And he wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've got to keep moving forward. There's no option. At this point, it's just go forward or die. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So they're crawling through, like, piles of bones and stuff, and George starts to hear his little brother's voice. Actually, I don't know if it was ever established if it was his little brother or his older brother. His brother.
I'm sure it was his little brother.
Probably. I'm just gonna stick with little brother.
Yeah.
But he hears his little brother's voice, and he sees like a vision of him trapped under the bones, like he's trapped in a cave full of water, and he starts scraping these bones out of the way, only for Scarlett to be like, look, it's not real. Like, it's not real. It's cool. We're okay. You're okay. It's not real. So yeah, so you feel bad for poor George. He didn't even want to come down into the catacombs.
He didn't.
He didn't want to go down, but he had to. We then hear a man yelling and echoing screams, and these are pretty accurate to the subtitles. Man yelling, screams echoing. Yeah, and there's a bunch of ominous sound effects going on. Then see a burning car. The man who told them to seek out Papillon is inside the car. He's in the back seat of the car, and the car is on fire, and this man is sitting there burning. And Pap says, "It wasn't my fault," causing him to be sucked in towards the flaming car. He's like, "It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault." So he gets sucked. Him in the flaming car gets sucked into the ground, and only his feet are sticking out. So by like not admitting to his blame surrounding the death of the man in the car, he got sucked in. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta fucking, like, you can't, yeah.
Your mistakes.
Yeah. Or you will fucking die. But it's just this little, like, and it's not funny. The first time I seen it, I was like, oh, fucking shit, like, what a way to go. He'd be suffocated by the earth because his feet are just sticking out. But then after a few times, you see the image of his feet just sort of sticking out of the ground, and you're like, look at his little feet.
You know, something else I find funny, because I was looking at, like, all the credits of the people in the movie.
Yeah.
And the guy in the car is actually credited on IMDb as
Gloomy Teenager. I actually think that's amazing.
And I was like, oh, what a way to be remembered by.
Yeah. Also, like, I haven't been shouting out the cast for the rest of the movie, which I had intended to do, but I forgot about doing that after, like, the first one. But Papillon was played by a actor called Francois Civil. Benji was played by Edwin Hodge. George was played by Ben Feldman. Suxi was played by Marion Lambert. Zed was played by Ali Maryar. And Lataupe was played by Cosme Castro. Because the only people I actually shouted out were Scarlett and her dad, because I was like, why isn't her dad played by Sean Connery? This could be an Indiana Jones film. But yeah, so we can't go back, they've got to keep going forward. There's a hooded figure. And then they sort of have a little bit of a conversation, and George is like, just so you know, that week in Turkey was the best of my life.
And then you've got Zed over there, like, just doing a real close.
Just doing a real close up, and she's like, mine too. And you're like, oh, they gonna kiss. They don't kiss. They have like a tiny like little hug. But it's kind of sweet that they're like, you know what? I know that I was in a Turkish prison, but still had the best time of my life, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the time of my life.
Well, I think he didn't mind going to a Turkish prison that much. He enjoyed it.
He was like, you know what? I experimented with some shit. It was crazy. This is the best time of my life. But yeah, so there's then a hooded figure sat in a chair, and I have the quote from the fucking subtitles, wheezing and moaning, because that's what's happening. And then during watching the film, I did make the amazing joke that is what Casey sounds like due to her allergies. So
because my hay fever is crazy.
Crazy hay fever. I've just got like this really bad itch in the back of my throat. At the moment.
It's reached the point where, like, now my throat's really sore.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not going to complain about, my hay fever. That we're supposed to be talking about a really cool horror.
I know, but we're like, let's go on an 18-minute rant about pollen.
The real horror story? Hay fever.
You know what's the real killer? Flowers.
Which is, like, another horror film happening.
Oh my god. So there is stone faces in the wall and like on the floor and shit, and the stone figures burst out of the wall and they bite George in the neck. Like, it's deep gash, like, deep fucking wound, dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, our boy George, wink. Like, I love George. Like, since like, the first time I've seen it, like, George is my favorite character. I don't know why, I just love George. But yeah. So they drag him away, and Scarlet tries to save him with the stone, but it doesn't work. But it doesn't work because it is a false stone. And the only way that she'll find the real one is to take it all the way back and put it back where she got it from.
Yeah.
So what has she got to fucking do?
She's got to rectify her mistakes.
She's got to rectify her mistakes. Character growth. So she's got to go all the way fucking back. Which she fucking does. Like, she doesn't pussy out. She's not like, no. She is like, nah, fuck it, right? I'm taking this shit back. I'm gonna save George, and we're gonna get the fuck out of this hellhole. Literally.
Exactly.
Yeah. So on her way back, she falls into, like, what was previously, I can't remember if it was water or if it was empty, but it was like a trough in the floor.
I think it was previously water.
I think it was water.
Yeah.
Well, now it's filled with blood and, like, grabby hands, a la the scene Labyrinth where she's going down the hole.
You're going down?
Down! But yeah, she makes it through that. She sees an image of the hanging man again, with a bag on his head this time. She goes to pull it off, and it's her, and she screams in her own face. And she's like, fuck this shit. So she just keeps going. And then she's back in the room where she took the stone from. So she replaces the stone and wipes the dust off of, like, a sort of mirrored piece of the carving, the image. And it turns out that the real stone was inside her all along. Maybe the real Philosopher's Stone was the friends we made along the way. We had to take a note of that because we made that joke during the film.
It was hilarious. This is supposed to be like a really nice moment of where, like, you know, she doesn't need the Philosopher's Stone because she has everything she needs on the inside.
Yeah, but it turns...
But modern needs have absolutely ruined serious films.
Yeah, but also she literally, having gone through the gates of hell, she literally has the power of the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
Like, it's like... what she doesn't need this stone, she doesn't need all of this shit. The only thing she needs were inside her all along. But that's bullshit because now she has superpowers. So she starts making her way back. The hanging man is there again, and she's like, Dad. So, like, we earlier on, we figured this out. We figured it out that this is her dad. But this is the first time she ever acknowledges that the hanging man is her father.
Mm-hmm.
So she hugs him and apologizes for not picking up the phone, which is why there was so much ringing phones earlier on. It was her guilt manifesting itself because she didn't pick up the phone on the night that her father died. So it causes the vision of him to disappear because she has accepted her guilt and has apologized and has been like, look, I'm sorry. So she's all good now. She makes her way back to Zed and George. Zed, who is dragging George along the floor because he's like, oh, there's fucking scary noises coming on, and he turns off, like, George's headlamp is just dragging him along the floor. Just to, like, save him. He's like, like, Zed's lost so much. Like, he's lost all of his friends, you know what I mean? But he's still like, no, I'm gonna drag this man across the floor. Zed's a good dude. For the most part, Zed's a good dude. And he does a cracking De Niro. So next, I just have the words #smooch.
I had written True Love's Kiss brings back the dead.
Yeah.
And then equals ultimate Disney film.
Mm-hmm. So this is a crossover between Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, and a Disney film. Just with some horror elements.
Yeah.
But, like, in reality what happens is Scarlet sort of, like, puts her hands over the wound and then she gives George the kiss of life. And the wound's gone. Like, she's a superhero now. We've discovered this. So the cloaked figures start to, like, pursue them. But they run from them. And they, like, get to like this giant hole in the ground, and they're like, oh my god, we're like stuck, there's no way out, like we're not gonna be able to climb down this. And Scarlett's like, no, we've got to jump. George is like, no, fucking no. And Zed's like, but she's like, no, we gotta fucking jump.
And then she kind of rectify the guilt and all that again.
Yeah, so she's like why do you keep seeing Danny here, to like George? And he's like, when he got his leg trapped, George went off to get help and he promised he'd be back with help, but he got lost along the way. So his brother drowned waiting for George to come back and save him. And she turns to Zed, and Zed's like, I have a child that I know is mine, but I've never seen him and I deny that he's mine. And obviously Scarlett had already rectified her situation with her dad. So with that, they all hold hands and jump. And then they're in like a tiny little room, and Zed's like, fuck, we're gonna die. But there's like a manhole. Like a manhole cover, like a modern day manhole cover. And they're trying to get their fingers down the edge to pull it up, but they can't. So Scarlett sort of bangs on it and pushes it down, and it moves. So they push the manhole cover down into the side, and they climb up and out / down, which is a bit like, it always sort of fucks with my brain, the scene where they have to like climb out.
Yeah, I really like it, but it's also like really kind of disorientating.
Yeah, like disorientating is like the perfect word for it. Like it's really good. It's a really good scene in the movie. I really like the way that they've done the effect. Like it all works super well. I just, when I watch it, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially like totally a little bit off topic, but when she kind of pushes down on it and then it's near enough pitch black,
Yeah.
but you've just got that little seep of yellow street light.
Yeah, like the light from the street just starts seeping in. Like, obvious, like, honestly, like, the cinematography in this is really beautiful. Like, the way that they've done the lighting and everything, because obviously it's an enclosed space, but the way that they've done lighting and everything is really, really good. So yeah, so they climb up and out onto a Paris street and replace the manhole cover. And they all just sort of stand there for a bit. And then Zed just sort of walks away while George and Scarlett hug. Yeah, which is pretty much the end of the movie. The last shot of the film is a finishing shot of her interview with Benji at the beginning, where she's like, yeah, no, like, I'm not a treasure hunter. I don't want money. Like, I'm not doing this for wealth. I just want the truth. And essentially what she's saying is like, she just wants to prove that her dad wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
More than anything. And then I've just written Finn, because obviously it's set in France.
When in France, do as the French do.
When in France, do as French. But yeah, so that was as above, so below. Do you have any final thoughts on the film as a whole?
As a whole, I really do enjoy this movie.
Yeah, it's one that I could personally watch multiple times.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, if I had to really sit there and come up with some criticism, I think the pacing could have been done better. I don't know if, like, because it always feels like it starts off pretty, like, really fast-paced. Like, you just zoom in, and a lot of the movie is pure build, like, not necessarily build-up, but, like, plot setting.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get into the catacombs, and I feel like there wasn't too much tension build there.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of that just happened really fast. And, like, really, when we were watching it, especially, and I was kind of paying attention to the timestamps,
Yeah.
the first character death didn't really happen until there was maybe about 30 minutes left of the film.
Yeah. There's like, there's actually a bunch of horror movies where you'll find that, like, it doesn't get crazy or bloody until like fucking more than halfway through the movie. But with this one especially, there's like not a death until like nearly an hour in or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I sort of don't mind. I quite like all of like the scene setting from like this movie at least. So there's some movies where it can feel like it's dragging on and on and on, but I don't feel that so much with this. But I do agree with like the sense that it's like it's all sort of scene setting to begin with, and like trying to be like, well, Scarlet's smart and she can solve this riddle and this riddle and this riddle and this riddle, but she can't do this alone, so she needs this, and she can do this, but she can't do this, so she needs somebody else for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Which I find totally forgivable, I think.
yeah, it's not like it's not something that's detracting from my enjoyment of the film in any way. It's just like a valid critique.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But overall, the sound design, the cinematography, the script is good. Like, it doesn't feel like it's stilted, like these are... Like, obviously it's actors playing characters, but it looks like it could be actual found footage with the way that they interact, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Which is always a bonus, especially with, like, obviously, like, the found footage genre. You want it to feel like it's just people interacting rather than, like, yeah, rather than, like, a director's like, okay, go! You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, so overall, I would totally recommend that people watch it if they haven't.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think it is 100% like a good watch, you know. And like we had said before, I think it's something that you can have in the background and still really enjoy.
Yeah. Like, you don't necessarily need to pay full attention. Like, there's benefits to just sort of listening to it and joining in when, like, the noise gets loud, or just sitting and watching it totally. Because I've done both. But I would recommend at least sitting and watching it fully, like, one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so overall, I would say that's a wrap on this, the first episode of, I haven't got a title for this specific show, but the first video for found footage. The horror channel you never knew you needed until right fucking now.
Woo!
Yeah, so if anybody has suggestions for movies for us to watch and discuss / review, feel free to leave it in the comments. And we will probably do another one of these really soon. Maybe you can pick the next movie, Casey.
Ooh, that would be cool.
You're like, oh yeah, that's right, give me the reins. Control!
I know, big brain, I'm like, I have already got an idea.
You're like, big brain, I know what I want. But, yeah, so we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye!